Redditors who were born at a very young age, what is your story?
Not me personally, but a friend of mine was born on his birthday.
I remember when I was applying for a job as a fashion editor, they asked me what made me get into fashion. I didn't know what to say, so I said, "I've been putting on clothes since I can remember." Both the interviewer and I started cracking up. I got that job.
To be honest with you, it was pretty rough. I couldn't talk, so I had a real tough time expressing myself. It got so frustrating I'd just cry and cry. Sometimes my mom or dad would be there for me, then they'd cover their face and completely disappear from my world. Also, I could not stop pooping myself, so no one respected me, consequently they kept treating me like a baby.
I happened to be born extremely young. In fact, I also happen to have been the youngest person on the planet, even if only for a very short period of time, presumably.
I was born naked.
I was so shocked, I couldn't speak for a year.
After I was born, I started to age quickly, with about 1 second per second. A maniac in blue clothes pulled me off and slapped me.
Right after my birth, I slowly started dying.
It all started on the day of my birth. My parents didn't show up. Edit, this blew up, thank you all.
When my mother was pregnant with me, they did an ultrasound and found she was having twins. When they did another ultrasound a few weeks later, they discovered that I had absorbed the other fetus. Do I regret this? No, I believe his tissue has made me stronger. I now have the strength of a grown man and a little baby.
Clearly I was very sick, I was born in hospital.
To be honest, I've suppressed nearly every memory of the early period, but my parents tell me I avoided most activities, refused to speak, and spent much of my time crying.
I was born at a very young age, the youngest age anyone has seen. People say it was the greatest, youngest birth ever. It was young and beautiful. Great age.
I was born at an extremely young age. Then it went downhill from there.
I was born at 0 years old. Beat that.
Don't remind me. It was a very difficult time of my life and thus I am trying to get over it. Edit, some people are messaging me that they are sorry and I really appreciate that, but my answer is a joke just like the question. This question and all these comments have me over here giggling to myself.
Not sure if this counts, but at age 6 I was born without a face.
While I get this is supposed to be a funny one, I actually was born at a very young age, 0.3 months premature. In 1987, a 3-month premature baby was a pretty dicey situation. My parents allowed the doctors to do some lung treatments that at the time were still very new. I spent a long time in an incubator and had a feeding tube. The scar makes it look like I have 2 belly buttons, which I used to think was super neat when I was a kid. All in all, I turned out fine. I have 2 kids of my own who were born healthy and on time. I guess I just wanted to share my somewhat serious story on this otherwise light-hearted thread just in case any other parents of preemies happen to read. Even if your baby is born at a very young age, there is hope that everything can be okay.
I was unfortunate enough to be born on my birth date. My mom didn't show up, and I was very, very small.
I was born at a very young age. This is where you cry, but there's a twist. My mom gave birth to me instead of my dad.
In my case, I was born in the hospital so that I could be near my mom. I know a guy who was actually born 4 years before he was born.
It was very sad. Both of my parents failed to show up for my birth.
I legit was born 7 months into the pregnancy, so beat that Reddit.
It all started when I was born.
The Precambrian was a time of experimentation. I was born with 7 eyes, 2 noses, and lip tentacles. Mom was quite upset and screamed. Or I think she would have, but she had no mouth.
My parents told me that when I was born I misbehaved so badly that the doctor spanked me.
Hello Benjamin Button.
It's one of the very first things I did, being born. And as such, I didn't have much experience at it. There were a whole lot of large people there I'd never met, and I had no clothes that fit. That said, I did well enough that I'm still here and haven't needed to be born again. In fact, as age goes, I've held a personal record for days old literally every day since then. I learned a lot in those early days. Screaming doesn't always get you what you want. Moms and dads are pretty awesome. Being allowed to sleep 20 hours a day doesn't last forever.
I was born at a very young age. I was birthed from my mother's vagina and my dad was there to watch. They named me after a movie. As I grew up, I learnt a lot of things. I learned how to walk, to talk, to not eat chalk. I learnt how to spell, to rant, to not shit in my pants. I learnt my 1 2 3s, my ABCs. Life looked quite alright. But then, horror struck. I realized my PP existed, and it felt good touching it. I started jacking off, and it spiraled from there. Now I'm a 14-year-old dude, which includes jacking off as a daily routine. Life, contrary to everyone else's, has been going smoothly. I've got friends and family, heck, I got my own chocolate bar. This is my story.
Had part of my dick cut off so it would look good. 1/10 would not recommend.
I was born when I was just 0 years old.
I was born very young. Very young indeed. In fact, some say, I was the youngest person to be born that instant. In my day, we were born much older. I staggered up from the delivery room table and went right to work in the mines.
I was born at 9 months. I don't remember any of it. I am very random.
I was born at a very young age. I was just a baby at the time.
I'm pretty sure I don't understand the question.
My sister had the worst luck ever. She was born right on her birthday and is suffering from a fully developed body.
I was born about 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul and Moses playin' Ring Around the Roses. And I'll whoop the guy what says it isn't so. Well, I'm just a lonesome traveler, a great historical bum, highly educated through history I have come. I built the Rock of Ages, it was in the year 01. And that's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. At age 6 I was born without a face.
I am baked, and reading this thread is confusing as fuck.
Not many people know my story, but I was actually alive 9 months before my birth.
It took me months to walk. When I was born I realized almost immediately that I knew practically nothing. Not much has changed.
I was born a poor black child. Steve Martin in The Jerk.
Ever since I was born, a minute passed every 60 seconds.
Yes, as I was born I was pretty young. 0 years and 0 days in fact.